spend a longer time on that, but we needed to deal with other issues. So he's just going to kind of give a quick overview on that, and then we will be moving to the part of the program, how to start a Black Autonomy Federation chapter in your city, if you live outside Memphis, because we already have one in Memphis, but if you came here from another city, because many of you came here for that. So, Brother Lorenzo.
All right. I'm only going to be able to devote a little bit of time to it, then we're going to have to go into the last section dealing with the Sister State organizing of Black Autonomy chapter, and also training, more direct training. Let me say that when we came here and actually got involved in 2012 at the conference, the Black Power conference we did here, our original intention was to deal with unemployment and poverty, because Memphis is the poorest big city in the United States. It has been for quite some time, actually. And I'm sorry, I said, yeah, Memphis is the poorest big city in the United States, and it has been for quite some time. And that was by the U.S. Census Bureau. It's not just my opinion. But here's what we say in here. In this booklet, if you would like to get a copy of it, you should get one. This is the organizing manual for Black Autonomy, and if you're interested in membership, particularly, you can get it for free. But if you, want to buy one, you can do that too. Whatever. Just get it if you need it. And it says Memphis, Tennessee was recently called the poorest big city in the nation by the U.S. Census Bureau. It is the ruling elite, with its long history of structural racism, malign neglect, and class oppression of the poor and low-income workers, which has created this state of affairs which continues down to this day. As is always the case, it is the black working class, immigrants, and the elderly that are suffering more than anyone in American society, whether it's unemployment, poverty, mass imprisonment, etc. Even with a so-called recovery from a depression or deep business recession, we can be sure that poor communities will remain poor and powerless. This is long-term economic apartheid, racial and economic segregation of black people, which has made our communities into a beggar class. Now the rich ruling class is threatening to extend this same kind of impoverishment of the black workers and poor to even more people, not just to destroy the so-called middle class, but to create an economic dictatorship where only the rich will have financial resources, and social program money that would go to the working and poor people would be transferred directly to the rich class. This would be an outright corporate fascist state where only those who own corporations and the means of production will have any rights whatsoever. And so, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this government austerity and all this stuff is happening. We haven't felt the effects of it yet, but it's coming. It's going to make poor people even poorer. It's going to make the rich folks even richer. That's the point of what I was saying. And right now in the black community, people don't understand what we're facing economically at this point. For the last 15 years, we've had double-digit unemployment in the black community. And in fact, since 2008, we have had the highest unemployment in American history, because the so-called Great Depression, they call it, it only was 25%, 15 to 25%. We've had over 25% for 5 years. That's just the official statistics. That ain't what the real statistics are, which are even higher. We need to understand the effect of this and what this does to our community. One is that, poverty creates, obviously say poverty creates crime. Well, it does create crime. People ain't going to starve to damn death. You don't expect them to. They're going to do whatever they have to do to survive. And unfortunately, if that means preying on each other, this is what they will do. And this is what the government wants them to do, because then they can turn around and play hero and put these people in prison. But in addition to that, you have a situation where poverty reduces your life chances of your children and of your family, of your quality of life is destroyed by poverty, and poverty even dehumanizes people. Poverty makes you sick. You see these reports all the time. It ain't just my opinion. This comes about all the time. Poverty makes you sick. And we're talking about the poorest big city in the country. I think Sometimes people don't understand how bad things are. And so when we bring people here, somebody says, well, you got these people coming in from all the town and telling us all these things. Well, sometimes people have to let you know how bad it is, how bad you got it, so that you can realize it. You know, you don't realize how bad it is, like somebody hitting you on the head. And if somebody's hitting you on the head, you get used to being hit on the head. And you don't think about it no more. Somebody walk up to you from out of town, wherever, and say, man, don't you know somebody's hitting you on the head? So some fool said right there, hitting you on the head. Ain't nobody hitting me on the head. Turn around and look at him. Now he was right there hitting you on the head. And this is equivalent to this, what they're doing to us. And so what we need to do, this is the only time in history there has not been a so-called unemployment movement or a poor people's movement. This is the only time in history. Now, of course, they murdered Dr. King. That's the reason they murdered him. Because he was going to lead in Washington, D.C. to directly challenge the federal government with a poor people's movement. And he was he's a man who had stature. He had the highest level stature than any other black leader at that time. And of course, the FBI always believed he was a radical and a communist and this and that and other. And if he wasn't, when they were talking about him then, they was going to make him into one, But he certainly, so we need to understand how important this really is, how important this is. And it happened in Memphis. And it happened in Memphis for a reason, because, they might feel that people in Memphis like to tolerate things that they won't tolerate in other places. I was telling a brother that we talk about 23 people been killed here in the last, well, not even quite 2 years. Soon to be 2 years. That ain't 2 years yet. But soon to be 2 years. Most places in the country, they be in an uproar. And talking about some baby getting their penis cut off. They would burn that place to the ground in most cities in the country. So, but there's a pacifist kind of mentality here, almost a plantation mentality, so the people accept it. This is what we have to overcome. Part of what we have to overcome. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with you or something or other, but I'm just saying that people have experienced pain so much. If people experience pain over and over and over again, they get used to pain. And so what we've got to do is overcome the pain and get the pain on somebody else. That's right. Get the pain on the people who are doing it. We need to organize. I can't say that more times in many other different ways. We need to deal with our oppression in terms of the poverty in two ways, really. One is we need to develop alternative forms of economics. We need to create a black solidarity economy. We need to deal with creating cooperatives, food and housing cooperatives. We need to deal with African farmers markets. We need to develop urban agriculture. We need to do all of this stuff that's not even happening in Memphis on a broad scale. I think we're so far behind here because the people in power and our so-called leaders want us to be behind, want us to be ignorant. Because ignorant people are people who can be controlled. Yes. And so from that standpoint, we need to organize a poor people survival movement. Yeah. Because that's what we try to do, survive. I know we want to get rich and we want to get this and that. And listen, if you don't fight, to survive, and if you don't understand that you're under attack, you can be easily wiped out. All this other stuff is happening too. We talk about the prison system. We talk about these things. We talk about them not just to be talking about them. We talk about them because they exist and they're destroying us. Yes. And you have to understand that they are linked together. Linked together. And if you're not ready to fight it, you're going to die from it. It's as simple as that. You're going to die from the prison system. You're going to die from cops shooting you down the street. Innocent people shot down the street. Brother came in and told us about his brother was shot and murdered here in the street for the crime of falling asleep in his car. And the cops that shot him had a reputation for being trigger happy. And on and on and on. So all this stuff happening in Memphis because we have been conditioned to accept it. And when we break out of that and we start fighting this, then we'll be able to accomplish some things. I think that most of us don't understand that fighting these people don't make you weaker. Fighting these people don't put you in a position that you can't resist. It puts you in a position to resist. It puts you in a position to challenge this Uncle Tom downtown, which he should be challenged. We should not let these people rule over us and allow this kind of injustice. We shouldn't let Obama do it, any of these politicians. We need to understand that. So it makes me mad in a way, but I understand it. I understand it. I'm not mad at you individually, but it does make me upset to say, well, man, what will they accept? But I do know that these are the same people that if they get the right education and they get the right organization, can kick ass. I know that as well. I know that as well, and I'm just telling it like it is. We're not trying to reason with the mayor. We're trying to do what white people do, and white people organize in their own interests. They organize mass movements or whatever they have to organize to get what they want. And we need to understand that. We're the majority here. We ain't got to beg these people for nothing. We're the majority. But at the same time, I don't trust the whole idea of dealing with those in power and all this kind of stuff, and begging them and sitting down in a private meeting and all this other garbage. There's too much of that going on here, and all that is a sellout. Somebody tell you that, I've been down talking to the mayor. You've been selling out. That's what you've been doing. House nigga, you've been selling out. We need to tell them just like it is and run their butt up out of here. There's too much of this garbage. Too much of this garbage. And I've lived in a lot of cities, in a lot of places, been to a lot of places, and I can just tell you, other black people in cities, even when they're subjected to this, they don't accept it willingly. They fight back. They fight back. And a lot of the stuff that we've been subjected to here, this place would be half of it be burning down right now.
Yes, that's right.
I'm not telling you to get out and do anything for things. He's advocating violence. He's inciting riots. I've been doing that for years, but I'm not telling you to do anything specific. I'm just telling you that, we are in a situation where we are being not just humiliated, we're being tortured with this stuff. And our lives are in danger, and we need to organize. So the whole idea of a poor people survival movement is that we start organizing around those issues that affect us, those issues that are poisoning our ability to survive economically. Some people say, well, if we all get together and we just put our money together, we can do so and so. Well, self-help is a great thing. But if you're being robbed, if your community is being systemically robbed, if your community is being systemically oppressed and poisoned in every way imaginable, you cannot fight it all at one time just by passing the hat.
That's right.
You need to make the people who are profiting from you give you the money. They need to be giving this community the money. They've been robbing our community, and they create the conditions of poverty. Talk about capitalism. Capitalism's wonderful. Well, I've made all kind of money this year. Yeah, you've made money. The rich white people make money, and they make it at our expense. And so we need to understand that we need to take a position where ain't nobody, like Malcolm X said, capitalism is a bloodsucker regime. That's what it is, the easiest way to understand it. They suck your blood to get rich, and you to be poor. And that's what we're talking about here. And Memphis is the poorest big city because we're being robbed and our blood's being sucked. And these Uncle Tom politicians are letting them do it and helping them to do it. And then they stick the police on you. And they have the police out in front of your house if you have the nerve to stand up and say anything and so forth. But we can't be afraid of that. We can't be afraid of that. We can't be afraid of standing up for our children. If you won't fight for your children, you won't fight for anything. I don't want to hear anything you got to say. If you won't fight against somebody murdering your brother, murdering your sister, whatever, and you won't say anything about that, and you allow that to happen, then you tell me that you'll let anything happen. And that's basically that I'm going to say on that. We want you to think about joining the Poor People Survival Movement, which is a program of Black autonomy. We want you to think about that, and you can come up here and sign for it, and we'll have meetings around that. In particular, like I said, that's part of the program is a fight back component. Other part is dealing with creating programs for survival, like housing and food cooperatives, African farmers markets, and so forth and so on. How to do that, and how to do it effectively, and build institutions in our community that deal with our economic oppression. And giving it back to the sister. Oh no, that's all right. I got to go on and do this other thing. Let me just go on and do it now. No, you do it. You start that. Okay. Sorry.
We want to move now to the section of the conference. We're talking about how to start a Black Autonomy Federation in your city. We've had people come here from New York, Detroit, New Orleans, Chicago, where Brother Lamar's already got a local organizing committee going in Chicago, and he's trying to get more people to be on it. But where is he? I lost where is that. But anyway, and any other cities I've left out, but at any rate, how to start a Black Autonomy Federation chapter in your city. Denver, excuse me, Sister Trish, that's right. So we've got people from all over the country, so we know there's interest. People in other parts of the country want to start a local chapter. Those of you who live here in Memphis or in the Mid-South area, we have a chapter here in Memphis. We want you to join with us. You don't have to do the work of starting a chapter in Memphis because we already have one. So we're going to talk about some of the nuts and bolts of how to start organizing a chapter. Let me do policies and rules. One of the things some of you may have seen, we have copies of the bylaws of the Black Autonomy Federation, and I'm not going to read these word for word because I know people can read, but there's some key things that I want to go over in this because we want to make sure people understand who Black Autonomy, what we are and what we stand for. Obviously our name is Black Autonomy Federation, and the purpose of the Black Autonomy Federation is very specific. Our purpose is to organize poor, low-income, and working-class people of African descent to lead the liberation of Black people autonomously. What do we mean when we say autonomously? Why do we call ourselves the Black Autonomy Federation? That means we operate independently of any established political parties or mainstream civil rights groups or any the big corporate nonprofit groups. We are independent. We are outside of that. We do not make any alliances with them. That's why we're in the shape that we're in right now. We are an autonomous organization. So that is our name and our purpose. So far as membership is concerned, membership in Black Autonomy is open to people of African descent who agree with the organization's programs and bylaws. Now, that said, there are some people who are excluded from membership in Black Autonomy, and we want to be real clear about that. First of all, law enforcement officers and officials, including those in police and sheriff's departments, the FBI, the CIA, and other intelligence agents, and any of their informants employed by law enforcement agencies. Black Autonomy, we do not collaborate with law enforcement officers, cops, sheriffs, or any officials or any informants under any circumstances. So they are excluded from membership. And the other people who are excluded from membership in Black Autonomy, even if they are of African descent, they are elected or appointed city, county, regional, state, and federal government officials. Membership is not open to them. That's part of our problem that the Black community has. We put power in these politicians' hands, we've sat back, and we haven't done anything. So they are excluded from membership. And we just want to be clear about that. That's a very, very important part of our program. We want everybody to be real clear on that, to understand that, okay? Organizations may not join Black Autonomy Federation. If you want to join, you have to join as an individual. And we don't allow organizations to join because we come up with the problem of divided loyalties. Who am I going to support or not support? And we've had issues with that in the past. So organizations may not join. As I mentioned before, we have membership application forms up here. If you would like to join, and membership cards, please do so. I'm going to move on and briefly go through some of the other parts of our bylaws and our program. Our structure, we are a mass membership organization. We are made up of local chapters. One of the things that's exciting to us here in Memphis that's coming out of this, we have people from different cities, as you've heard them today. Some of whom are planning on going back to their city to start a local organizing committee of Black Autonomy in their city. It only takes 2 or 3 people in a city to begin a collective there in their city, to have a local organizing committee. And the local organizing committee, their job is to implement the overall policies and direction of their area's work as determined by the members of the chapter, okay? Another thing, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read this part. In keeping with Black Autonomy Federation's national policy, local organizing committees, I don't care what city you're in, no local organizing committee, including the one in Memphis, none of us will propose nor will local BFA chapters participate in or endorse political campaigns of candidates running for office. We do not do that. If you are in a city and a politician comes to you and wants your Black Autonomy local organizing committee to endorse them, you tell them the answer is no. And if you can show them, well, I'm sorry, it's in our rules and our policies, so you don't have to get into a big argument with that one. We do not endorse political candidates for office. We do not endorse, we do not get involved in political campaigns for individuals. There could be an issue in your city that comes up, a ballot issue, like here in Memphis over the past year or so, 2 times they tried to raise the sales tax. Now that's different. That's not a candidate running for office. That's an issue. A Black Autonomy chapter might get involved in a ballot issue like that if they thought it was working against the interests of poor and low-income people. Here in Memphis, fortunately, people had the good sense to vote against raising the sales tax. Memphis, Tennessee already has, I think, the second highest sales tax in the country. So why, and this is the poorest big city in the country, so why are they going to ask us to pay more taxes? So the people here in this city defeated that twice. I know I voted against it twice. So Black Autonomy might get involved in a ballot issue like that, but under no circumstances do we endorse any political candidates for office. You can read through some of the more specifics about how the structure for each chapter works. I'm going to move on to page 2, because like I said, I'm not reading the whole thing. Obviously, the chapters will hold monthly meetings. Memphis is here in Memphis, we were the founding chapter, and right now we serve as the national headquarters, but we are not about the business of telling each local organizing committee when they're supposed to have a chapter meeting, what date, or how often. We do ask that they have monthly meetings at least. You may need to have more meetings than monthly. We're not trying to micromanage you here from Memphis, but first of all, we've got people here from New York, I don't live in New York. Brother Jeffrey is here from New York. Brother Zero, Prophet. They live in New York. That's their hood. They know what's going on. And they'll talk to people in their hood to find out what are the issues that they need to get. If they want to get a Black Autonomy chapter started there, they'll be able to do that, okay? Because they know what's happening. We're not going to sit here and tell them. We have some national issues that we ask all the chapters to address. We talked about them today. Police brutality, mass imprisonment, building the poor people's survival movement, organizing against black poverty and unemployment. Those are issues that we ask the chapters, to address at some point. But each local organizing committee, each chapter is going to have to look at their own local area and determine what it is that they need to get started on, what they need to develop. So we don't micromanage that because, New York is not Memphis. We got issues here in Memphis we have to deal with. We certainly can't tell people in New York what they should be doing because they live there and they know what's going on. So I just want to make that clear too. There's a section on voting. In Black Autonomy, all members have an equal say in how their local chapter is run. You may have a chair or a vice chair, but they don't have any more power than anybody else does, okay? And people are free to disagree with, or if they want to bring up an issue with the local leadership of their chapter, they can do that. Because that's what autonomous is. We're not a top-down organization. We're trying to build this from the bottom up, okay? Which is what happened back in the 60s and 70s. We had a lot of grassroots groups in the black community. Those were from the bottom up. That's what we don't have right now. We got too much top-down stuff going on, okay? So you may have local officers in your chapter, but again, each member in the chapter has a say in what goes on. Each person has one vote, and just they can express what they think should happen in their chapter. And we try in the local chapters, we encourage you as you are developing your chapters to use the consensus-making decision process. Now, obviously, some issues will have to be voted on, okay? We know that. We're not saying don't take any votes. But try to discuss things in a way that you can reach a consensus. And that may mean educating each other, educating your fellow members about what is going on. and why you think black autonomy should do something in a particular way in Denver, or do it in a particular way in Chicago, you know, which are different cities, and like I said, they have different issues. We try to do things in terms of bottom up. We don't have this big hierarchy of leadership. We know we have to have people take responsibilities for calling meetings and stuff, but we're not into the hierarchical kind of leadership structure. That's not what we do. That's totally opposite to what black autonomy does, okay? So that is briefly about voting. Article 6, we do have a rather lengthy section on expulsion, because any organization that you belong to, you know, different groups have their rules about expulsion. There may come a time in your local chapter that something comes up, a member may do something that violates the rules and regulations or the programs. Let's say somebody, you know, in the chapter decides to run for office and says, I'm running as a Black Autonomy Federation candidate. They can't do that. That's in direct violation of our rules. You know, if they want to, they can run for office, but they can't run as a Black Autonomy Federation candidate. And so if someone does violate the rules, the programs, the policies of Black autonomy, and a member feels that's serious, then the membership can vote on that, okay? The local membership in the chapter can vote on that. I'm summarizing it. But I just want you to, just to be aware of that we do have a process for that. And it's not because, again, we're trying to, it's not a negative thing, it's just that we're a different kind of organization. And a lot of people don't agree with our politics, and they will come in and try to deter us from what we're trying to do, steer us in a different direction. So we need the local membership in each chapter to be vigilant, you know, and make sure that what Black Autonomy is doing, the program that we're trying to accomplish, that we follow through with that. And the rest of it just talks about dues. We have a sliding scale, $5 to $15 in dues. Each local organizing committee, you set your own dues based on the ability of your members to pay, okay? And the rest of it just talks about our national coordinating committee and the fact that we have an annual national meeting, which all the members all around the country would be able to attend at the annual national meeting and, you know, be able to participate in that just like anybody else. So that's just kind of a brief summary, but I just want you to be aware that these are our policies, our bylaws, so that, and you can get a copy, if you decide to join, if you fill out a membership application, and we give you a membership card, you can certainly take a copy of this with you. All right, Renzo?
All right. Okay. All right. Let's Organize the Hood is the program of Black Autonomy, and it deals with, you know, the issues that concern the proposed programs and so forth that Black people have been asking for years, that deal with the forms of oppression that people have suffered from, are suffering from, and so forth and so on. And I want to talk about a little bit about how do we implement Let's Organize the Hood. First, we fight to end police brutality by replacing police occupation forces with a community-controlled Black partisan militia drawn from residents of the community. This partisan militia will not just do policing, but deal with civil defense, fire safety, food distribution, youth training, community military preparedness, military communications and distribution, and a host of other neighborhood safety issues. It will not be a colonial force, a repressive guard force for the downtown white merchants, or any other tool of the oppressor. It will be a true community defense guard made up of community residents. And it's not easy to organize something like this. And in fact, before we can get to that stage, we need to organize in the streets to raise the level of consciousness of the people in the community. And so that means that we build groups for community control of the police. And when we say community control of the police, we know we're not going to end the police tomorrow. although I would love it if we did. But we can say that we can we can organize a mass movement strong enough to put restrictions on the police and make it difficult for them to do the kind of stuff that they do now. And part of the reason why, you know, there's so many shootings and so much corruption and all this other stuff is because there is no mass pressure to prevent it. And that's kind of a simple thing, really. If you don't organize to prevent it, it will happen and continue to happen. And this is what is happening in Memphis, and it is happening in other cities as well. So we want to organize anti-police organizations, which get our people to stop cooperating with the cops or seeing law and order as something on their behalf. Now, Brother Fadali was talking about, don't support no colonial laws, he said, you know, and he's absolutely right. You know, stop cooperating with the state, the government. The cops will come, you claim that you call a cop to deal with somebody else, they'll come in there, might kill you, or beat you in the head and take you off to jail, or drag both of y'all. You know, they might do that. You know, you create the conditions for a force that is filled with people who don't care about you and don't care about your community to come in and abuse you. And they will do it, and they have done it, and they consistently do it. So we need to have a stop snitching program and a program to stop cooperating with the police. And we need to make people understand that the cops are not there to help us anyway, but to control us by armed force. We have to do continual and massive education with our people as events go. We put on those by community groups, and then even go and challenge the cops and politicians at their events. And that's something that, you know, you don't see very much of, because the mayor and the police chief sit up there and tell all kind of lies about people they've killed and all this about corrupt cops who are selling dope or whatever. You know, we got the most corrupt police force in the country. I mean, and we can document it because 20 to 25 cops every year go to jail, get arrested and go to jail. There ain't no other city in the country that has that many. You know, so we're talking about some showing off real problems here that we need to deal with, you know, in terms of that. And so in terms of that first one, you know, the fight to end police brutality, we organize, as I say, mass movements, but we also organize movements at a different stage that can throw back the police and create the black community as a so-called no-go zone, a police no-go zone. They can't go in there except for the threat of their life, you know. And when I was coming up as a kid, and this project is in Chattanooga, it was so vicious, as far as they put it, as far as they were concerned. It was so vicious that even a white man, a white cop, can come in there and get killed. And because of that knowledge, we were able to keep them out for the most part, you know, and conduct our own affairs. And we had, you know, community leaders and so forth at that time, at that stage, that felt like we didn't need the police there. We deal with our own problems. If somebody got robbed and somebody took some money from somebody else, they go and get it back. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? They go and get it back. They conduct their own courts. You know, and what has happened is that the white government has been able to take back the authority we had built for ourselves in our own communities. They've been able to do that. I'm not going to talk about it's integration's fault and all that kind of garbage. I'm just going to say that it has happened, and we need to be able to build our own sovereignty in our communities. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it that. We call it black autonomy. We need to get our own black autonomy. So that's what we're going to do in terms of police brutality. We need black grassroots control of all funds allocated to the black community, and control over all plans for renovating and constructing housing and other community facilities and improvements. Now what that means, really, they come into our communities and they give building projects to some redneck company, and they don't even hire black workers. And they don't even consult with the community about what we need and what we should have. We're not in the discussion. They gonna impose whatever they want to impose upon us, or rob us and we don't get nothing, which is what's happening in Memphis. If we were organized, or if we would organize together, we would be able to force the government and all these corrupt politicians to follow the community control. We'd be able to win some demands for the community. You see what I'm saying? That's what organizing can do. You can't do it as an individual, you'll be ignored. But as a community, if the community was strong enough and supported each other and spoke with one voice, they could get a lot more done than is the case here now. We could get decent housing. We could end urban homelessness and start to we could put people on that on project waiting lists now and all this stuff. We could get massive capital to develop our community the way we wanted to develop it. Why can't that happen? Well, it can happen, but it isn't happening because we're being sold out. We got Uncle Tom preachers. We got fish mouth politicians. We got all these bootlickers and butt kissers, and they work to keep us in conditions of oppression. They work to keep us in conditions of poverty. And we need to understand this. Somebody said, well, all the people are poor because they have no incentive. They have no desire to get jobs and money. Well, the community is poor because it's being robbed by corrupt politicians and their bootlicking buddies, like A.C. Horton, ass kisser first class. That's what he is, and let's call it like it is. And so we have to challenge them. If you see it happen, say, oh, this is awful, but I'm not going to do anything. If you say that, then you are an accomplice. You're an accomplice. You're an enabler. It's like somebody on drugs or something. You see them on drugs and you say you love them, then all that kind of, that's my brother, my sister, he's on drugs. I would like to help him, but I don't want to get involved in his business. Well, if you don't get involved in his business and he found up laying up dead somewhere because he didn't OD, you helped it happen because you didn't take the incentive to try to stop it. You didn't take the incentive of challenging him. Sometimes this is what you have to do, tough love, whatever, you have to do it. You have to raise the issue. We got to raise the issue with corrupt politicians. We got to do this. So this is the second ring of black autonomy. We got to deal with unemployment, y'all. We got to deal with these corporations. Man, I have never been anywhere and seen the kind of corruption and corporate welfare here than anywhere I've ever been. They got they got a 90% a 90% rate. They've had a 90% rate of where they were giving corporate welfare to these people, so that they only had to pay 10% for any project, and they don't pay no taxes at all. They pay less taxes than you pay. And they've been getting away with it for years. And so now the city council says, well, we're going on, that's an outrage. We're not going to go for that anymore. We'll give them 75%. And so this is why this is one of the poorest big cities in the country, because they don't have the resources even for social programs. They don't have the resources because they're giving it all to the rich boys, the corporations. This is what they're doing. That's just a fact. Yeah, y'all know this is true. I ain't saying that you don't know. But I will tell you this. We need to challenge it. We need to organize. We need to bring the community into knowledge and awareness. And we need to mobilize and organize the community and have them get in the faces of these people. We need, one thing we did in Chattanooga, I got arrested for it. I'm not going to tell you this, I didn't. But one of the things we did, we went down to City Hall. These shootings kept taking place. We went down to City Hall and took that sucker over. And they couldn't run no business that night. You know what I'm saying? And if we did more of that kind of stuff, just make it impossible, what we like to call make yourself ungovernable. If they ain't gonna govern, they're not governing in your behalf anyway, you make it ungovernable. You make it ungovernable. You make it so that this Uncle Tom mayor and the rest of them down there that walk around with a big cigar in his mouth, fire on one end, fool on the other, you make it so that he's uncomfortable. You get in his face and you ask him questions and you make statements to him about his loathsome nature. All right. And but that's why our communities are so poor, because we've been robbed. And the contracts are awarded to whites, or they're awarded to some friend of the mayor, some Uncle Tom friend of the mayor, or whatever. And this goes on. It's been going on for years and years and years, and nobody's ever challenged it. And we want to beat back the corporations that are causing our poverty. And I could go on and on and on, but a lot of this stuff is, all this stuff is in this manual. You know, if you join Black Autonomy, you get this manual for free, along with a new car out there. It's a new car. But you guys, I mean, we're having a raffle for it. Anyway. So what we're saying, we're talking about, we need to have a system of governance on the neighborhood level, so that the Uncle Tom preachers and the politicians and the rest of them down in City Hall are not the last word. We organize in our own interests. We need to organize black community general assemblies to create dual power. And what dual power is, it means you got power over here, and the Uncle Tom down there has got some power that he's got, but we're taking power from him because, you know, we stop voting for these fools, and we start demanding the ability to run our own program, so whatever funds they got, they need to give them directly to the people. And we set up funds to run them ourselves, and we set up programs to run them ourselves, people's programs. And this is how, you know, people talk about revolution all the time. Well, this is how it can happen. This is how it should happen. And this is how it has happened in the past. So we organized to create these structures that will be all over the city, you know, or just the South Side, whatever the case may be. But we organize in our own interest to get what we need to survive. And our community can be a productive community. You know, somebody, oh, it's poor out there, them people in the poorest part of the city of Memphis. Well, it's the poorest part of the city of Memphis because the people who run the system have decided that this is going to be the dumping zone. This is where we're going to dump all the poor people. This is what we're going to make sure that they don't get no resources. We're going to make sure that the banks engage in redlining. I mean, this is a systematic plan. Where's ours? You know, that's a fact. Where the hell is ours? Okay. So we need to have a means of self-governance so we can start dealing with these issues ourselves. We need to have, you know, I don't know what you want to call them, Black Power Town Hall or whatever. But we need to have something so that we talk about these issues ourselves. Well, ain't nobody talking about this being the poorest big city in the country. Ain't nobody at City Hall talking about it. It ain't of interest to them because the master's paying them. The master's going to give them whatever they need. But what about you? And what about me and our communities? We ain't getting nothing. So we need to organize for that. And so this is a part of the program for Let's Organize the Hood. And I talk about the farmers co-ops, and we need to establish a black community controlled food system for self-sufficiency and as a way of fighting to end hunger and malnutrition. People always are saying this about what y'all gonna do when they close down the grocery stores and so forth and so on. Well, what you need to be doing it right now before they do it, but what we need to be doing is building a different kind of food system, of food security as they call it. We need food security. We need to build it. We can't depend on the government. We can't depend on nonprofit organizations. These white nonprofit organizations is part of the way that the government and white corporations control our community. And control, keep us poor, keep us down. We can't do anything for ourselves. We got to go with Mr. Charlie and let Mr. Charlie do it for us. You know what I'm saying? So we circumvent Mr. Charlie by creating our own community control food system. And this includes farmland and co-ops and all this and so on and so on. All right. I've gone through this stuff, some of it. Here's one of the things that's most important. We need to build an independent, self-sustaining survival economy to guarantee full employment to our people, because it ain't coming from the government. The government now says full employment is 7.5% unemployment. And we know who suffers from that level of unemployment. So we need to have some kind of survival economy in Latin America and even, I don't know, some parts of Africa. It's called solidarity economy. And the solidarity economy is a secondary economy where people put their resources together and they create their own trading zone, and they create their ability to have, food, as I said before, food, housing, cooperatives, and so forth and so on. Whatever the projects may be, they do it themselves. And I'm not telling you that we're all going to get free like that. We are not. But we're faced with a situation right now that every day that goes by, the clock ticks towards us starving to death if we don't watch out. We are in this brick. You can't go out there and eat concrete, but we can grow. You can grow food in the city. People don't know it. You can grow food even on top of buildings. That's right. Aquaculture and all this. There's a sister that's an expert on it. I shouldn't get her up here talking about it, but and take us to pass what we need to talk about. But the point is, there are ways to survive. There are ways to organize for liberation. We ain't doing it. We're still arguing over something that happened 50 years ago, or we're still talking about what Brother Malcolm said. Brother Malcolm came and gave you the message, and he said, well, fools, what are you doing about it? Okay, so he gave you the message, so what are you doing about it? He didn't tell you to sit down and praise him every day and, throw water in there and all this kind of stuff. He said, get out and do something to change the material conditions of your people, and fight against those people. He told you that the politicians, he said that he described both the Republicans and the Democrats. He called one a fox and called the other a jackal or a wolf. He said, and both of them go eat you. He said, both of them go eat you. And so we can't depend on these politicians. We need to think beyond that. And I'm saying in this period right now, with so many people brainwashed, that's a revolutionary proposition. Just the fact that you're going to throw off the thinking that you got to depend on the government and you got to depend on the politicians, that you can't do anything yourself. Well, I'm not saying that you can do it individually by yourself, but I am saying that if we work together, we can certainly accomplish a great deal. And I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm telling you that you can get up here and get you one, and it's got it all in there in depth. And you ain't got to agree with everything that's in there. But we criticize some of the nationalist groups that are still around that don't do this sort of thing, that are in position to do certain things, and all they concentrate on, is some kind, what equivalent of a prayer call, You come down and you have your rituals and so forth and so on. It makes you feel good, but then the majority outside this door is starving to death. I know the sister saw that in Africa a lot. There's too many instances where we give up on our people. Brother saying it, don't give up on your people. Don't give up on the poor. Don't give up on all those who have no resources. Because you will be next. That's the lesson that we should understand. If they can divide us and conquer us, they'll keep doing it over and over again. I don't know why we don't get it. They'll take one class of so-called poor blacks or out of unemployed black people, and they'll play us against the others that got jobs. That's what they love to do. And so we need to understand that we need to build an economy inside this country. Even our own currency is possible. They can claim that it's illegal to do that. But historically in this country, see, we don't know it, but historically in this country, there have been numerous alternative currencies used. They've been used by black folks for the most part, but they've been used to deal with economic periods like this. Now we don't know it. We think we just supposed to kill each other over the greenback. The greenback is the government issue. But we could use an alternative currency. We could create a bond, our own municipal bond even, and deal with building housing and all kind of stuff. All this stuff is possible, but you have to understand what you can do if you come together. Somebody's always talking about unity. Well, I don't believe in any empty unity. I don't believe in any kind of foolishness where you're just sitting around and praising each other what you did 10,000 years ago when we're starving to death now. I don't get that. I think we can do some tremendous things right now, and I think that we have a program to make it possible. It ain't perfect. There's, people got the ability to add to it or to take away or whatever that may be, but we need to organize now in this period. We need to deal with these issues now, or I can guarantee we will be suffering greatly by doing nothing. And that's it for me. Now, as for the actual organizing techniques, I think some of us don't realize that all you need to do is go door to door. All you need to go out and talk to people. All you need is once you have a program together, once we've agreed on a program, then we go out and we talk to people in the streets. And, there's no perfect way of doing that, and there's no ironclad or cookie cutter way of doing it. But the best way is to just walk up to somebody's house, knock on the door, and engage them. So, well, sir, my name is such and such. My name is Lorenzo. We're doing a survey here on such and such and such and such. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Now, the nonprofit groups do that all the time, and they pay people to do it.
All day.
But why don't you do it and I do it in our interest? Why don't we do it in our own self-interest? We ain't got to pay nobody. We can't pay nobody. But we can go and deal with the people in our neighborhood or our little stretch where we are. We could do it at our school or workplace or wherever. We could be doing things like this to discuss these kinds of things. And because we don't do it, we can't build a basis for unity. People think a basis for unity is just get up and some always exalted leader comes and he gets 4,000 or 5,000 people, whatever, and they go wherever they got to go next, and that's it. The so-called unity falls apart. We need to be dealing with these issues in our own neighborhoods, in our own communities. And by doing that, we will be able to change the conditions that we're forced to live in. I ain't saying we're going to get free overnight. We didn't get oppressed overnight. But we can certainly move our agenda to a better place than what it is right now and increase our chances of going all the way to freedom. Thank you.
And I just want to say, for those of you who are here from other cities, this kind of work, you don't do it overnight, okay? If you are, and you can look at your hood as being different things. If you live in an apartment building, you're talking about talking to different people, you could start with your own apartment building where you live, your own floor where you live. You obviously can't go to a city and overnight just begin to organize hundreds of thousands of people if you live in a city like that. Black Autonomy Federation doesn't expect that. But start with what makes sense with you, whether it's the floor in your apartment building. If you're a student, start talking to the students that you go to class with, discussing issues. You might have, I was telling one of the brothers, you might have a film, show a film at your school and have some discussion around it. Or if you live in an apartment building where you have a slum landlord and repairs are not getting done, talk to people in the building about, we need to be doing something about this, we don't have any heat. They're not fixing things that are broken. These are survival issues that we all have to have taken care of. So, organizing is not some great mystic thing that it can be done right where you are.
It should be.
It should be? It should be some great mystic thing? Oh, okay, you said it shouldn't be. No,
Organize right where you are.
It's not. You organize right where you are, whatever your hood is. And that's what Black Autonomy is about. You have to, you start with people right where you're at and you begin to build up. But the thing you're trying to do as you talk to people, whether it's on your floor of your apartment building or where you go to school with them, is you're trying to engage them in discussions to begin to try to change people's minds about issues. That's what you have to start with. People may be skeptical at first, and we tell people, don't be discouraged. If you are talking to people, they're not interested in what you're saying, don't be discouraged. You may decide, okay, we talked to several people, they seem to be interested, we're going to have our first local organizing committee meeting in whatever city that you come from. And you have the meeting, and you have 3 people show up, and you put out all kind of flyers, and you even got the stuff on the radio, and you have 3 people come, or you have no people. Lorenzo and I, we've been doing this stuff over 40 years, and we have held meetings where nobody has shown up. We know what that's like. So, but you can't get discouraged. You just have to keep on. Figure out what did we do that maybe didn't get enough people there. Did we, whether it was flyers or whatever you were using, and you have to figure out in your community what's the best way to get the word out. In some places, flyers are the best way. Now, if you're a student, of course, students are on the internet, and that could be the best way to get it out there. There's different ways, and we can't give a cookie cutter method for everybody because it's just different in every place. But the point I'm trying to make is don't get discouraged. If you call a meeting, first meeting, and you have 1, 2, or no people, believe me, I've been there. I've been doing this a long time, and I still have helped organize meetings where nobody has shown up. And I have to look at myself as one of the organizers. What did I do wrong that did not get enough people there? And it's discouraging and you get frustrated, but you keep on. That's what you have to do. That's one of the things we want to tell people here from other cities who want to start a chapter. Don't expect miracles overnight. The problems that may exist in your community, just like the issue here in Memphis in police brutality, we've been trying to organize around that for close to 2 years. And we have had some success, but we got a long way to go here in Memphis, organizing against police brutality.
And everything else.
And everything else. And I'm going to tell you, I get really frustrated sometimes with how hard it is to get through to people. I'm not going to lie, I get really angry and frustrated. But, somehow you just have to pick yourself up and keep on going on. So that's one of the things we want to stress to people here from other cities. Don't expect instant success. Okay? Because the stuff's been going on forever, for a long time. What we're trying to do is begin to build a foundation to change it. And it takes, you put the foundation down and you gotta build it up brick by brick. And in different cities, it'll take different efforts to do that. So I just wanted to say that for those who are here from other cities, that you think about going back, organizing in your own community. Now we want to take some questions and answers from people, particularly those of you, anyone can ask a question, but if you are here from another city and you want to ask a question in terms about specifics you may think may apply to you in your city about organizing or any of the Black autonomy programs, if those of you who are here who live in Memphis have any questions about what we're doing here, any questions? Anybody have any questions? Yes.
This is my first time coming, and it's very, very interesting. And I think this is just a start, a momentum. We need to really let people know what's going on, what you're trying to do. And I think you'll have a lot of backing, because I'm very interested. It's time we stand up on our feet and stop crawling on our knees. We are very powerful people, whether you know it or not. We don't have to be so dependent on the other side, because they want you to be dependent. They do whatever it takes for you to continue to depend on them. I have a health center right down the street here. I'm a naturopathic doctor. A lot of you probably don't know what that is. Holistic medicine, natural medicine. We believe in healing the body, so you don't have to be so dependent on them in every single way, because they will keep you. They will do whatever it takes to keep you so dependent on them. And I would like you to call me. I would like to get involved. I want to know what's going on, and I want to be a part. Thank you.
Well, sister, we welcome what we need you to do. We'd like you to, you're here in Memphis, right? So we'd like you to join. Join the Black Autonomy Chapter. Before you leave here tonight, please fill out our membership application, and we'll give you a membership card, because in order to help spread our message and the work we're trying to do, we need people like you in the neighborhoods. We can't be everywhere at every time. We need that help and support. And if are you interested in yourself doing any training to help people, learn how to do community organizing?
Yes, I'm very, very interested, because I learned a long time ago. You probably don't remember this man. Noriega. He kind of spilled things about the government bringing over this dope and distribute it in the black community.
Yeah.
Right. We remember that.
And all this comes up, days all over here.
Right.
For our young people,
That's right.
I should have said, well, what I meant to say was, are you willing to do any type of training for people in terms of the natural medicine that you're talking about? Because health is a big one. That's part of our poor people survival movement, is trying to organize, for our health. We don't get the best health care, obviously,
Probably we moved away from the original, what God intended. In the Bible, those of you that read like the Bible stuff, Ezekiel 47:12, it says the fruit of the tree is for our food, but the leaves of the tree is for our medicine. God meant what he said. We just gotta depend on him and get the natural. Be on the natural as much as possible. And we won't be so dependent on the stuff that will not heal the body. Actually, it prevents the body from healing.
All right.
Other questions or comments? Anybody, any information at all that you can think of that you want to ask about how to go about organizing, or if you want information about what's going on in Memphis, the issues here? Yes, sister.
I guess just out of curiosity, I'm not really clear. So, say within one city, depending on if say the group got big, would you just stay one big group or what?
Where do you live?
New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, there's no limit on how many people can be in a local chapter. We just say you only need 2 or 3 to start. We don't want people to think you have to have 50 people to start. 2 or 3 people can agree on our program, our principles, and say we want to get it started. And, it gets as big as it gets,
Also, you can decide to have a group break apart, and if it's in one part of the city and the other one's in another part of the city, they can have different formations in different parts of the city or different neighborhoods or whatever the case may be, and have their own meetings and have their own representatives, and then come together in a citywide meeting and so forth ever so often. It's the ability is there, and to be able to do it however you want to do it, there's no problem there.
Yes.
I will ask you a question. I know you said people that cannot join, but can white people join the group?
No.
Okay.
People of African descent.
So my question to you is, when we organize like we do, how do we prevent government infiltrators from coming into our fold? And that's been happening a lot, especially on our Facebook pages and things like that.
But we can't totally always know someone is a government infiltrator, okay? I mean, if they're not obviously a politician or a police officer or something wearing a uniform, we may not always know that. But what does happen over a period of time, people will start to reveal themselves. So you have to listen what their practice is, because I had recent experience with that, and they will reveal themselves if they are in fact an infiltrator. But we can't overly worry about knowing who is the infiltrator, because you're just not gonna always know that. You're not gonna always know it.
The issue is what you do when you find out. That really is the issue, because if you fail to act and act decisively, you could destroy your organization. And so that's really the issue, I think, in essence.
Other questions, comments, Jeffrey?
Yeah, how would you handle that as far as if you find an infiltrator, like as far as, if you don't mind me asking?
It's in the.
It's in the bylaws,
Yeah,
under the part that says expulsion.
Yeah.
It's covered very thoroughly.
If it's a police officer, military intelligence agent, or something like that, that already is forbidden to even join the group, they can be expelled, summarily.
Immediately.
Yeah, and if it's a different situation, there has to be some sort of process, to hear it, hear the issue and so on and so on. But yeah, if somebody is discovered to be an agent for something, for another group, is discovered to be, some provocateur or something like that, they can be expelled automatically.
You got a question?
Yes.
When the Klan marched last year, did y'all have any workshops or anything?
No, we didn't. We didn't have time. We only had 2 weeks to do it, So we just did the best we could do. We had to fight the city government and all that, even just to have a counter demonstration, a bit Ron there, and so forth, but we had a hell of a time. And even then,
The police paid for theirs though.
I'm sorry,
The police paid for their activities.
the Klansmen, yeah, the city paid for it. The city paid for the police. The city paid for, they were given a special bus. They were given a special police guard. When I say guard, I'm not talking about one officer. 20 officers. 20 officers were from the SWAT teams of the county and the city government were given over to the Ku Klux Klan and the Nazis to have their demonstration. And they were put in a special space away from the rest of us. And so that they could say and do anything on they claimed they took everything from us. They took all the paper, they took all the signs and all the so-called flags. You could have a black nationalist flag, you could have an anarchist flag, you could have anything. They took it from you, but they allowed the Ku Klux Klan to have flags where they talk about we're gonna lynch niggers, we're gonna lynch all of them we get, and this and that and this and that, and we want the South should rise again. Damn, some of these people are so damn stupid. I mean, you have to laugh at some of it, but they're dangerous. They're dangerous. I mean, to be blunt with it. But the South will rise again, and we want to kill as many as we can catch. And what was really troubling to me after this, I mean, we beat them back because we had 1,500 people, mostly black people. We beat them back. But what was really troubling to me is that the city government, their attitude, they allowed the Klansmen to come back 2 months later when we were preoccupied with the Trayvon Martin case, a demonstration over that. They allowed the Klan to go to that park, and 200 Klansmen in full uniform, firing cannons and all that stuff in the middle of the city. I'm not joking, man. It was in the newspaper. It was a big, huge article in the newspaper. The city government allowed them to do it and paid them to do it. Paid them to do it. Now, I'm saying, like, what the hell?
It was just a park. That's the burial ground of
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, that's the reason they always come there, because he wasn't the founder. He was the first leader of the Ku Klux Klan. Was it the Grand Wizard or the Grand Kleagle or what the hell they are? I don't know. The Grand Dragon. Okay, the Grand Dragon, and he's buried there, and his wife, I guess, on top of each other, whatever, But I'm just saying, I'm not making any aspersions. Just saying that's what they got them in the same space. They probably are on top of each other. I don't know, But I'm saying, they took them out. This is a long, short version. They took them out of the Elmwood Cemetery in 1904, and they had a huge procession of Ku Klux Klansmen in that park and white supremacists in uniform, in Confederate uniforms, and then they burned. What were the crosses they burned? I don't know what it was, but they burned something, and then so they recreated that. After we had this big, huge demonstration, they turned around and recreated that in 2013, and so. What to me, what came out of it to me is not so much what the Klansmen did. We know what they stand for, but the so-called black majority government and how they collaborated with these white supremacists. These vile pieces of excrement, and they collaborated with them. They collaborated with them, and they made it possible for them to do it. And they invited them to come back again next year, which is this year. So we got to find out when they're doing it and have some kind of protest. I mean, what I think we should do is have a protest at City Hall, run them apart for letting this happen. To be quite honest. But anyway, that was the deal. That was the deal.
All right, anyone else?
Go ahead.
In regards to like a large organization, like, is there a degree of centralization and how much like is it needed or like, like,
Centralization.
yeah, like, as far as like a huge, like, say if the Black Autonomous Federation of New York like spreads like wildfire and stuff, like, what degree of like how will that operate? Like, I know it'll be like federated, but also like will it require some centralization?
It doesn't have to. You know, the thing is, with organizations that are organized on a basis of federation, you can break it down. You could break a larger group down into smaller organizations. You can have it horizontal, which is what we want to have it as a horizontal thing, and it can be in part of it can be in Harlem. Let's say, for instance, in New York, part of it can be in Harlem, part of it can be in Manhattan, part of it can be you know, Bronx or wherever, Brooklyn, and those groups would be semi-autonomous, but they'd also, not only thing they would be required to do is come together once a month for organization business. And everybody doesn't have to come to it. The representatives could come to it, if that's the way you wanted it. The representatives could come to it, and then they could go back to their branches and so forth, and deal with it like that. I mean, I would love to have that problem, quite frankly. But yeah, it's all dependent on the local area. It's all dependent on the local area. Let's bring any wine bottles and need water. I gotta do something. Okay. Anyone else? All right. Going once, going twice, 3 times. That's it. Thank you for coming.
We have announcements.
Oh, we got announcements.
Yeah, we do have some announcements we want to make if nobody has any other questions. First, we want to remind people that on Monday at 9 a.m. there will be the rally at the National Civil Rights Museum to protest the black babies who were circumcised. We want to come out and protest that. I think that clinic apparently is one clinic that's been doing it. I don't know a whole lot about it, but my personal opinion is that clinic needs to be shut down. That's something that people have to talk about. But anyway, we can come out on Monday.
There's a question.
Yes.
And the sisters here at the left here, they have a march that day, Martin Luther King march. So they gonna be there at 9 people there. I wonder if she knows about the march. Maybe they need to meet down there after the march.
I think she does know about the march. I talked to her a little bit, and she knows that one of the reasons they want to be there is because they've been told some of the.
Where she go? Concerning meeting down at the Civil Rights Museum, y'all gonna meet down there. You gonna meet down there before the march. They have one Martin Luther King march today.
Yes, we're gonna be out there at 9 o'clock in the morning with our signs. We're gonna have blue shirts on to represent our sons. We're gonna try to be organized and coordinated. I have people coming out from Chicago, Illinois, my hometown, Greenville, Mississippi. My mom's sister, they are mayors. They judges. So I came from a family with a background. I didn't come from like a welfare, low income, low budget. My grandmother had 12 kids. All 12 of her kids are somebody. Nobody's on drugs. Nobody's on alcohol. So I feel like I live in Memphis, Tennessee. I was working at UPS. I lost 2 jobs due to my son getting watched at this clinic. I didn't come from any background. I came from somebody, and the way we look at things like, well, this parent was on government assistance, but you don't know this parent background. And I have folks that are gonna be behind me 100%. You know, like even my son, my child's grandmother, she's a professor at Lamont Orange College. She's a doctor there. So we basically came from a background. So I'm like, you know, it's not in it from no lawsuit. It's not all about the lawsuit. It's about getting justice served for my son.
So y'all will be there for a while.
So we want people to come out for that, yes.
I was wondering if you wouldn't mind saying, and maybe this is just, that's how we do things in Detroit, but I haven't heard the name of the clinic and the name of the doctor.
Christ Community Health Center.
It's Christ, and the name of the clinic is Christ Community Healthcare. It's on Broad Avenue in Memphis, Tennessee. The doctor name is Joyce Liu. Her name is gonna be on sign there, you know, like, provoking license. Yes, she was agent.
Is there an online, is there any kind of online petition drive?
They interns assisting her during the process of my son. I feel like the interns don't need to go forward. Joy Lou need to lose her license, and them 2 interns that assist her on my baby circumcision, they don't need to go forward.
Sister, you have a petition online, people sign, tell them about that.
My Facebook page is signed up under Maggie Rose, and Maggie Rose, I'm on Facebook. I have my petition on my page for people to go on there and sign to get Dr. Lou's license taken. They still let her practice in Memphis. It's just like a baby didn't even get hurt. And the director of that clinic now botched a 11-year-old baby 10 years ago. And I feel like at that same clinic, and they made this man the director. We need his license revoked as well as Dr. Lou and anybody else. You know, 11-year-old mom that came forward when she seen my story on news, because in the state of Memphis, I went around to like over 21 lawyers here in this city. Nobody take my son case because everybody's in together. Yeah. And when I went to Labana Children's Hospital, it was more like a, oh my God, you come look at what happened to the baby. And when I started snapping about the hippo in a hospital, that's when everybody wanna look at me like I was crazy. Like, I'm like, I used to be a certified surgical scrub tech. And where's the hippo law? You don't go tell this doctor to come look at my baby. This is not no show. This is this happened in reality. You know, my baby's not no dog or no cat. You don't look at him, you fix him.
That's right.
And so I am like very irritated about the problem that I'm facing every night with my son. It's like taking care of a person just really just cry all the time and can't really do much for themselves. You know, it's like irritated. I have a 6-year-old daughter, just had open heart surgery. I have a lot going on. I just had to go find a job because people say that they are willing to help out when it's time to actually start helping. Now everybody gets scattered until the end, then they try to show up like they doing so much. And so I'm just keeping it real, you know. I have another child just been in the hospital all day. My 2-year-old got asthma. It's just a lot going on right now. And, you know, to be dealing with somebody around here cutting off your baby penis, that's a lot. Maggie Rose.
We also want to remind people, or tell you who didn't know, that part 2 of our conference this weekend's events for Black. We are having a hip-hop concert tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow. But right here from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., some of the people you've heard from already today, Brother Will C., Brother Zero Prophet, Brother Steve Biko Thomas, and also some local artists here from Memphis will be performing. It's a free concert, 3 to 7 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday, right here at the Java Complex. We want everybody to come out because we've got some revolutionary conscious hip-hop activists, artists working with us, and we're going to have a good time tomorrow. We want people to come out.
Go ahead. they've come all the way across country, you should
That's
do
right.
come out and see. There's still other folks.
Can we get on?
And it's free.
Huh?
Can we get on the table right now?
Now you gotta come back tomorrow, brother.
I mean, we could put the CD on and dance around with it or something. You know what, I tell you what we'll do. I'm gonna play, Let's Organize the Hood.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
play
you can
that.
hear our theme song from the Black Autonomy Federation Radio's radio show that Brother Steve Biko Thomas wrote for us.
Go ahead and play that number.
Okay.
What number is it?
No, it's
My email address is rose47@yahoo.com.
Okay, sister's email address with the problem with her baby, Maggie Rose 47.
Yes, ma'am. Number, yeah.
At yahoo.com.
Yes.
Okay? You can, that way you can find her petition and sign her petition. And I think those are all the announcements. Again, if you're interested in joining Black Autonomy, please.